Hello, everybody. Gbenga Olatunji here. Today, we shall be concluding on the competitive forces. And we shall be taking a look at the life cycle model, in which we shall be talking about the introduction of product into the market, the growth stage of the product, then the maturity of the product in the market, and of course, the decline of the product, and general experience that surround the stages. Also, the life cycle costing shall be looked at. We shall take a look at the life cycle costing and the relevance of life cycle costing to strategic management. LCC, that is life cycle costing, can equally be called whole life cycle or whole life costing. Then from there, we'll move on to the BCG Matrix for product market strategic planning. And it was developed by Boston Consulting Group. The Boston Consulting Group developed the BCG Matrix. Then we will move from there to categorization of business unit or products. At different stages of product life cycle, we can call them, some product will develop to become a star or stars, dogs, question mark, and question mark sometimes we call it a problem child. And last but not the least of the categorization is the cash cow. So we shall take a look at the stars, the dogs, the question marks or the problem child, and cash cows. Then we'll study the weaknesses of BCG model. Then we conclude looking at the Swot analysis. We'll conclude looking at the Swot analysis. So let us start by looking at the life cycle model. The introductory stage in the life of a product. When we newly make a product and we are trying to get into the market, that is the introductory stage. We are introducing the product into the market. At that stage, sales may be a bit low because not much of a customer we are having, and we are going to incur much of investment costs. Production costs are going to be very high. Running costs are going to be very high at the introductory stage. And the product, of course, may not be profitable at this very point in time. At the introductory stage, an entrepreneur must be careful not to consider hastily that the product is not profitable, but should know that this is just a stage in the life of his or her product or the company's products. And as they continue in that market difference and are working towards ensuring that they retain their market share and expand in that market, they will see considerable improvement. So we move on to the growth stage. At this stage, things are beginning to bubble. Everything is forming shape. Growing sales we are experiencing, customers are coming, demand is becoming higher and higher concerning our products. Also, at the growing stage, we will observe another thing, that as the market is bubbling, so also is attracting new entrant new entrants into the our market. And don't forget, that is competition starting. So competitors are coming in to share the market with us, and rivalry will begin at this stage. So at growth stage, sales begin to grow, new entrants are attracted into the market, and of course our product will start to be profitable. So we've moved from more or less a stagnant profitability, or not even being profitable, from the introductory stage. Now we are experiencing a bit of profit, and everything is bubbling up in our market. And now we are beginning to attract competition. That is at the growth stage. Then at the maturity stage, now as our industry and our product begin to mature in the market, we will experience that, okay, our profit that was growing before begins to stabilize. So everything becomes predictable. Our cost we can predict, our revenue we can predict, the rate at which our market is growing before is now a bit low, or equally as stabilized. This will happen at the maturity stage. And at this point, don't forget, new entrants are already attracted and they are competing with us. And the profit is already stabilizing, cost is already stabilizing. Now, we will see that competition and rivalry will be a bit higher, and product differentiation will start. Our competitor begin to try to outdo us in the market, and others are responding or proactively going ahead just to ensure that they retain their market share. So this will happen at the maturity stage, and the competition is very high in an industry or in a market when the market is fully matured. So moving on from the maturity stage, after something is matured and fully mature, it starts to decline naturally. And product is not exempted. Market is not exempted. So we'll begin to see at declining stage in our market that our profit that stabilizes before begin to dwindle and fall. Total market sales will fall, and as sales are falling, so also is our profit. We may have a lot of stock yet to be sold because the sales is already going down, and we observe that some of our competitors will begin to quit the market because the market is no longer thriving as it used to be. So the competitors or the producers will begin to take their money out of the market to minimize losses and the like. And if any producer still continue to stay in the market for whatsoever reason, maybe they want to be producing a loss leader. For some reason, organization can still be producing in a market that's already declining. The product may be a loss leader, but it could be a product that actually projects them into the world, and they are not ready to leave the market because of the name that the product has given them. Maybe a product, maybe their product in that market happen to be the one that has projected them that made other products to be known, household name, and to be selling. So if they quit producing such a product, it may affect adversely not only that product and the product markets, but generally other products that organization is producing may go down. So they may take a position of being a loss leader and be producing a loss leader. So the general experience of a product life cycle is that selling price at a point will definitely be altered. Like when our product mature and the market mature, competitors are producing, the profitability will reduce because we reduce our, so the profitability will definitely reduce because we had tried to reduce our price so that we could be competitive enough. Costs, of course, may differ. Like when we are introducing the product and we newly go into the market, we may incur higher costs and the like. But at a point, we have economy of scale, which will break down our costs into a bit of a lower version. The amount invested also will vary. Generally, during the introductory stage, we will have to buy a lot of equipment and the like, hiring this, hiring that, purchasing that. But after that time, it will stabilize and it will be different from what we are expending before. So these are some of the general experience that producer of product will experience. Spending on advertisement equally will reduce at maturity stage because our product is now a household name and we may not need much of advertisement because before people will buy from us. But at the initial stage, when we are introducing into the market, we may have to incur much cost on R&D, research and development, advertisement, and the like. So these are basic general experience when we are talking about the life cycle of a product. Let us move on to the life cycle costing. The life cycle costing, and we shall examine its benefits, the benefits of using life cycle costing. When I was introducing this topic, I said life cycle costing or LCC can equally be called whole life costing or whole life cycle. This is because life cycle costing takes a look at everything we've expended from the beginning of the product even to the visibility study carried out before the product started to the last penny we are going to spend concerning that product and its market. Throughout its life cycle, like we've mentioned, the four stages that normal product will experience, life cycle costing takes down everything that we've spent on that product, and that is life cycle costing. Of course, recording costing down has its advantages, and we are going to examine it quickly. The advantages of life cycle costing. Of course, when we know our costs, we can easily plan, we can easily expand, and we can easily calculate whether we are profitable or not. So life cycle costing compares the revenue and costs of the product over its entire life. Just as I've said, the potential profitability of products can be assessed, in fact, easily, because we know what we've spent so far on that particular product. And because we know our costs, we can easily try to reduce the cost where it really could be reduced without tampering with the quality of the product. Of course, the pricing strategy can be determined before the product enter into production, because we know from the feasibility study what we should spend and the like, so we can begin to ensure control over our costs. We can easily pay attention on our pricing too, because we know what costs so far we've incurred, and we can easily vary our pricing or react to the market, and it will still favor the organization as per the pricing, even though we reduce it, because we have a whole chunk of our product costs at hand. And by monitoring the actual performance of the product against the plan, lessons can easily be learned to improve the performance of the future products, because we know where we are coming from. We recorded everything, so we can know where we've probably expended more and know how we can go about it to reduce it using economy of scale or pulling together to buy at a go, to buy one time, or products buying, scheduling, and things like that, to ensure that we beat our costs down to the barest minimum. So what are the relevance of LCC to strategic management? Because we are able to know our costs, as in the volume of our costs since the beginning of the product, we can know whether the organization is profitable, continuing to produce the products or not. And we must not mistake the cash flow for profitability. Cash flow simply means if the product is bringing in cash. Cash is coming in regularly, more or less on stop in cycle. But that cash is coming in does not say that product will be profitable. The profitability is about cost minimization or maximization over or under rather revenue. That is, revenue should be higher than what we are expended on that product. But the cash flow side is that the nature of the industry or the market, that product keeps bringing in money. And also, strategically, LCC should help us to be able to decide when to continue or when to discontinue the product, because we have our record intact. So we should be able to know when the product is getting to decline and has matured, and we need to decide whether we want to continue to produce or not. Because if we do not decide under strategic management, it may lead us to begin to produce a loss leader. And if we do not want to produce a loss leader, it's better we discontinue. So lifecycle costing helps us to be able to reach the conclusion on time. At this juncture, we would like to implore you, if you've not subscribed, please go and subscribe, click the notification button, like us, comment as we continue to move on in the lectures. And just like LCC can help us to know when best to quit a market, it can equally be advantageous and point our attention to new markets and when to enter into a new market too. Entrepreneurial companies might look for opportunities to enter into new markets during the introductory phase when a new bubble is going on in another market. We can easily enter, having known that the current market we are in is already declining. Generally, a business will not enter into a new market when the market is at a mature stage, because that will be very high, because soon they will go into decline. But majority of the time, at the introductory stage or especially at the growth stage, are the best to enter a market. So we move on to the BCG Matrix. BCG Matrix actually is to help organization on how to manage their products at every stage within the life cycle model. So this is what Boston Consulting Group actually try to resolve, and we shall be considering the BCG matrix under the category of the stars, that is products that are stars. How should we manage them? Products that are dogs or could be categorized as dogs, how should we manage them? Products that are problem children or question mark as we call it, how should we manage them? And the cash cows of this word, it's a very popular word, cash cow. What does cash cow really mean? So those are the things we are going to be studying now. From our slide, as we can see, the Boston Consulting Group developed a product market portfolio for strategic planning. So what BCG Matrix actually is trying to achieve is how we can manage our products in the market strategically. How we can plan and manage them is what BCG has come to help us with. The objective of the matrix is to assist with the allocation of funds to different products or business units so that we will not be spending on a market or a product in the market that is already declining. How should we handle our products at that stage? How should we handle our product at the introductory stage? Like when I introduced this topic, I said that when an organization is newly going into an industry or a market and it seems that like the product is not really profitable, they should not easily just quit, because that experience is peculiar to introductory stage or phase of majority of the products. Some may have exception, but we are talking about the general experience. So how should we handle a product market going through introduction, going through growth, going through maturity, or at decline? So BCG matrix actually divide into two groups, which we call matrix. So vertically and horizontally. Vertically from low to high. Let me show us. Can we see? So vertically from low to high. Here, can we see? From low to high. And horizontally from left to right, from left to right. And for a better reading of this BCG graph, is better that we just divide into four like this. Your vertical like this, and the horizontal like this. For the vertical is where we have the market growth, that is the rate at which our market is growing. And on the horizontal is where we have the relative market share, that is how many consumer in that particular niche is buying or are buying rather from us. So vertically we have our market growth rate, and on the horizontal we have our market share. So this divide the product into four that we now have and call the stars, the question marks, the cash cows, and the dogs. So BCG takes a position in this their model that, and which may be a bit arbitrary, but for the purpose of study, this is what they do and how they divide what I just shown you. Anything